So yes, I am Beth, and I welcome all of you. Very lovely to see so many beautiful women here. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for bringing us all here together. When we are buying into the stories of the mind, when we are buying into the thoughts of the mind, so much of what we're doing is we are buying into what's happened to us in the past. So much of what we're doing is we're paying attention to what's happened in the past without a remembering to bring ourselves back into the clarity, into the love, into the beauty of the present moment. When we're in the mind, now granted the mind can also bring us to the future, right, to what's not even happened yet. But oftentimes what we do is we will bring ourselves back into the present and rerun stories of what's happened to us over and over and over again. So the wound, or wounds, many, many multiple wounds, that have happened to all of us, and they have, right? This is not to discredit by any means the wounds that have happened to us. Not by any means. I guarantee everybody in this room has experienced something on the level of a father wound, any kind of wound. This work that I'm kind of talking about today here can really, really work for any kind of wound. It's not just specifically about the father wound. What we're doing here when we're paying attention to the mind, and just paying attention to the mind, right, without questioning the mind, what we're doing is we are replaying the wound in our mind. We are the ones, and I want to say this very, very gently. I want to say this very, very kindly. We are then the ones who are actually wounding ourselves. Right? We have the power to not choose these stories. Does this make sense?
Yes.
We have the power to change our stories. We also have the power to entirely dissolve the stories of the mind. And this, I will say, really, for me in my own life personally, my own spiritual path, my own psychological path, as a psychotherapist, that's what I've been, that's what I do. Well, in my work life, that's what I do. I'm a psychotherapist for individuals, for couples, for groups. A lot of what I have seen, really, is a loosening of the mind, a loosening of the beliefs, the distorted beliefs that we tell ourselves over and over again. That this is part of the way towards really incredible expansion, incredible opening, incredible opening into love, into truth, into beauty. Right? When we really are able to gain the awareness of first and foremost of what it is that we're telling ourselves, how it is that we're leading ourselves astray, really leading ourselves astray. Right? So once again, I want to come back to, it's not that the wound has not happened. Right? It's just that we are the ones who are keeping it alive. Right? By either sharing with ourselves the wound over and over and over again, or sharing with ourselves the meaning that we made out of the wound, like that we can never trust again, that we can never feel safe again, that we will always be abandoned over and over and over again, that we will be invaded over and over and over again. We are the ones who do this to ourselves. We can and need to ultimately take responsibility for this in order, I want to say, in order to really deeply transform the wound. Now, this is my own psycho-spiritual take on how to heal from the father wound. There are multiple other ways, and we're going to hear from other lovely women about their take on how to heal from the father wound. This is what really deeply works for me. This is what I have seen really profoundly shift my world, my entire world, I want to say. Not just about a father wound, but about any of my past conditioning. It's what's brought me into the present moment, into the clarity, into the beauty of the present moment. Let go of the mind. Let go of the stories. The first piece of the information that I want to share with you is something that probably a lot of you have experienced before. And yet I want to say it because there's an important reason that I want to say it, and I'll come to that. The first part, what I want to say, the first piece of information that I want to convey to you all is that one of the things that we have power over is how we speak to ourselves. I work a lot with sexuality, so a lot of the time I hear things like, I'm not being pleased appropriately. He doesn't know how to please me appropriately. He'll never know how to please me appropriately. Right? This kind of self-talk it's conditioned, right? It's deeply wired inside of all of us, and it can really have a profoundly negative impact on our ability to really make connection with our partners, on our ability to be really open, on our ability to feel really loved and to love. So this might be, for some people, this might feel a little bit simple, and yet the reason that I say this is that there's an incredible body of research that's growing and growing and growing that suggests the more that we change our talk to ourselves, with ourselves, the more that we engage in more of a sort of positive psychology, a positive belief, really shifting, changing the story of the mind, the more we have the opportunity to really and truly rewire ourselves. By this I mean some of what's spoken about is we're changing our neuronal pathways. So that might speak to you, or maybe a rewiring of ourselves speaks to you better. It changes our physiology. Changes our physiology to the extent that we can experience much more of a peacefulness, much more of an integrated sense of well-beingness all throughout our lives, something that we can so much more easily access on a regular basis. Okay, so I encourage this. I encourage you to practice this. I encourage you to practice this on a daily basis. Whenever you notice yourself going astray, telling yourself a story about your partner, about a man in your life, about a woman in your life, about a relationship in your life, catch yourself. I encourage you, catch yourself, bring yourself back, share a different story with yourself. See what you feel like after you have shared a different story with yourself. See what you feel like. We can come back to, choose to shift our awareness from the story, from the negative belief, into the heart. So I'm going to stop this for a minute so that we can move on to the next piece. But I do want to say, I just want to recognize the fact, the reality is that not everybody experiences extreme love, extreme openness, extreme bliss when they touch their heart or shift their focus of attention into their heart. Not everybody experiences this. Some people will experience pain. These are other emotions of the heart. Pain, grief, sorrow, frustration, anger. These can all reside in the heart too. But one thing that feels very important for me to convey is that, generally speaking, we want to go with these emotions. We want to experience these emotions. And what a lot of people fear is that these emotions are going to go on and on and on. This simply is not true. These emotions, generally speaking, very, very, very short-lived, unless, and this is important, unless we keep the story alive. Unless we keep telling ourselves the painful stories that are bringing up the painful emotions in the first place. Right? Does this piece make sense also? Yeah. The next piece is something that I call mindful self-inquiry, questioning of our negative beliefs. So I'm going to guide you through this process, and probably best, if you'd like to join me in this, what I'd recommend, probably what's best, is for you to close your eyes, if you haven't done so already. Close your eyes and contact yourself. What I want to say is to contact something inside of yourself that feels a little bit not so worked through, a little bit unpleasant for you right now. And we're talking about the father wound. We're talking about the father wound, and so this may have something to do with a relationship that you have with a man. But what I want to ask you to do is to really try and contact right now something that just feels alive for you. If it's a relationship with a man, that's beautiful. If it's something else, that's beautiful. Whatever it is, just allow it to be there for you. And if you can, for a minute, see if you can name, see if you can come into contact with just one negative belief that you are holding about this situation. One negative belief that you think is creating the situation, or one negative belief that is an outcome of this situation. And moving kind of quickly here, see if for a moment, first off, what I want to ask, see if you can ask yourself, is this negative belief really true? Is this absolutely true? Now, with this belief feeling attached to you, feeling like it's a part of you, I really want to question that. I really want to ask you all to question that. Is this belief you? I would say not. This is a thought. This is merely a thought that's emanating from your mind. I want to give you the opportunity here for just a moment to see what it's like to place this negative thought somewhere outside of you, anywhere outside of you. See if you can see it written as if it's a sentence, or hear it as if it's being spoken. Maybe it's an image. It might be in a bubble. It might be something that you want to give to me. Right? Have me hold it with you, which I'd be delighted to do. Now, if there is still a thought there, I want to ask you to ask yourself once again, is this true? Is this thought really true? So, I really want to suggest that you try this as a meditation. For the meantime, what I'd love you all to do is very slowly, gently, enter back into the room, open up your eyes, look around. So long as we are not attached to the mind, so long as we are experiencing reprieve from the mind, I want to propose that it's actually possible that we are actually not wounded at all. That right now, as of today, in this very moment, we are actually already healed. Right now. Thank you. Thank you.